So once you've done, pretty much summarized on this slide, to be honest, once you've done a gastroscopy or something, you've resected something, how should you follow patients up? And this really is, it's the follow-up of the lesion. So, for example, the esophageal, high-grade in Barrett's or whatever, but it's also the follow-up of the precursor problem. And so if you just take Barrett's, it's the follow-up of the Barrett's, whether you treat it, how you get rid of it, whether you completely ablate it, and the follow-up of the lesion with its risk of lymph node metastases. In atrophic gastritis, it's the follow-up of the thing you removed and the risk of metachronous disease, which is like 10% once you've had a cancer in the stomach. Non-dysplastic Barrett's esophagus, we didn't talk about this. So the lengths and what the ESGs just published a document just now about a new update on Barrett's esophagus. And so if your Barrett's is more than 1 centimeter and less than 3 centimeters, and of course you start to see why measuring matters, right? Because start to look at the difference that start to get here, then you can do 5 years. If the extent is more than 3 and less than 10, and this is where the 10 comes in, with David and I were talking about this, then the interval should be 3 years, and maximum extent of more than 10 should be into a Barrett's extracerebral. Atrophic gastritis, we said this already, but it's very important. Atrophy and metaplasia at a single location, don't survey it. In both locations, that is the antrum and the corpus with family history, then 3 years. Advanced, that's global in both locations with a family history, 1 to 2 years. And gastric dysplasia. So this usually is if you've, this is our patient that we had earlier. If you've biopsied low-grade dysplasia, but you can't find it, a very common occurrence, then 12 months. If it's true, a high-grade dysplasia, then 6 months. And then finally, I want to cover KPIs. So I think somewhere where we should be going is what Roland said, that you put structured data into a reporting system, and then out of it comes some data, and it should be KPIs that comes out. And you should be able to have your personalized, scorecard like Montori does 100 gastroscopies and he gets a scorecard. Smith does the same. He gets his scorecard, and then the boss of the department has everybody's scorecard. And those who are underperforming potentially get called into the office for a quick chat, at which point they are offered support, education, a shoulder to cry on, maybe briefly. So, but I'm joking, of course. But what I'm saying is you must. So it's not about underperformance and then just okay, that guy's out. It's underperformance, identify it, and then help the person to do something about it. So I think this is a really good way to end. What do the multiple society guidelines, and Peter-Jan helped me prepare this. Thank you very much, Peter-Jan, and we can talk it through together. What do the multi-society guidelines say you should be doing? Because we've said a whole load of things about, how you can do good technique, what you should do, this and that, but what are the actual, score? How do you determine if someone's performing well or not? Well, you have to have some lines in the sand, and these are the lines in the sand that have been put down by multiple societies. So you have ESGE, you have ASGE, you have BSG, and you have the Asian consensus documents. Actually, it's interesting, isn't it, how the ESG hasn't gone down this road. So the ESG simply talks about fasting instructions, whereas the ASG, and it's usually the other way around in my experience, usually the ASG is not as down the line as the ESG. Anyway, has all these targets for sedation planning. But I think maybe Roland is right in saying that in the UK, these things are all covered by JAG and the sort of regulatory authorities of endoscopy units. Would that be fair enough to say?
Absolutely, yeah. So there are pretty standard sort of parameters that we work to, and in the NED reporting, a lot of these things are reported, not all of them.
Yeah, I mean, team pause is an interesting one. Like a timeout before the procedure. competent endoscopist. I mean, how do you define that? I think that's a very, very interesting thing to put in there, but how do you define? So I think to summarize this part, you and the final part before we close, I think you must audit your own practice. These are some of the things you can audit. You maybe should keep a list of the biopsies that you take, associated maybe, if it's possible, with endoscopic images. I think AI will change this space such that you will be able to link the two, like you will be able to link text at least to the images, which we still can't do at the moment in our reporting system. And then you will be able to link histopathology to that so that you will be able to sit and look through, wouldn't it be great, a list of the procedures you did in the past 6 months with photos, video, text, and histopathology all on the line. And then we might be learning, right? Then we might be learning what early gastric cancer. We certainly be learning. If you looked at my procedures of the last 1 year, if we could do that, I think that will be even a huge step forward, wouldn't it?